Is Joe Biden ready to be put out to pasture? Kind of like an old horse, or, well, I think he's been ready. To be honest, he was ready before the election. And the Democrats and the left knew that. I'm not sure if the American people knew that, although I do think that no Americans voted for Biden. Now, when I say that, what I mean is I think that the election was all about Trump. People voted for Trump. People voted against Trump. I don't even think Jill Biden voted for Biden. But we have Biden. We're stuck with Biden. And yet we have a president who appears to be, well, not all there. I mean, not all there in a quite literal sense. Presidents typically give a State of the Union. Here we are, well into March. No State of the Union. No even clear sign of a State of the Union. Presidents typically give press conferences, whether you have a barrage of questions. Biden hasn't given one yet. They say he might give one by the end of the month. Occasionally he takes a question or two. Recently he spoke at a small business in D.C., but the moment people began to ask him questions, the handlers you can see them moving in, blocking the questions. Biden has done a few calls with world leaders, but even then it looks like Kamala Harris is stepping in and taking over that responsibility. And let's think of how unusual that is. In America, the vice president is not really the sort of assistant president or the deputy president. The vice president has a completely different role. And yet here's Kamala Harris, and she's calling Emmanuel Macron, and she's calling Trudeau, and she's in a sense filling in for the guy who sort of isn't there. Now, all of this is very troubling, but what is even more troubling is the kind of open acknowledgement on the part of the left, people like Nancy Pelosi, that Biden is a puppet. Here's a short clip of Nancy Pelosi, a very revealing one, that shows a lot about her view of Biden, and it shows a little bit about her. Listen.
In order to open these doors, we do not say open sesame. We say open Biden. That's our magic word. Open Biden. I love it.
Wow. Now, I mean, I take this to mean that Nancy is saying that there's a kind of automatic door opener. Biden is literally not doing anything. They're using him. They're manipulating him. Now, if you listen to her in that little cackle, I mean, she's half crazy. So you basically have a president who's not all there, and you've got a Speaker of the House who appears to be a little whacked. And this is a disturbing situation. Now, it's not just disturbing for the facts that I've laid out so far. It's also disturbing because there's a little problem here with the idea of democracy itself. We keep hearing about democracy. We need to have more democracy. We need to perfect our democracy. We need laws that make us more democratic and so on. Well, the bottom line of it is the core meaning of democracy is that the people elect a president and he directs things. And that's not happening. Now, you might say, well, of course we have aides who advise Biden, and it's the job of the president to hire his own staff and so on. Yes, but the key thing here is that the president makes the decisions. He directs the aides as opposed to the aides directing him. If the aides are the ones calling the shots and Biden is the one, in a sense, carrying out the instructions, we don't have a functioning democracy. We didn't elect those guys. We elected Biden to make these decisions. That's the meaning of representative democracy. So the bottom line of it is with Biden, we have, in his very absenteeism, a serious threat to democracy. And yet this is not being talked about. It's not being discussed. In fact, it seems to have gone completely unnoticed.